Hello and welcome along to Sportsbet TV with our first broadcast of 2023. This is great to have you with us once again. Paul Alster back for the start of another year and looking forward to what I hope is going to be another profitable year. If you happen to be joining us for the first time, then please press the subscribe button just below the screen. It's free to follow my tips. I give a few selections here, one or two every weekend, and you can also find out about my subscription service at Patreon just in the link below this screen. But just to summarize 2022 very quickly before I come to my selection at Sandown on Saturday. And it goes without saying that the last quarter of the year was very disappointing. Things really didn't go our way. But that is the way it goes. As we know, it's all about ups and downs. The fact remains, though, that overall, throughout 2022, we ended with a profit to the suggested stakes of £654 profit. That means once again, we have an annual profit as we have had in 2020, 21 and 22, and indeed each season throughout the campaign. And overall, since we started the service in July of 2020, if you've been having your notional £10 each way on each of my selections, then you would have been very close to a £3,000 profit. Overall, £2,948. So that's something to be very proud of, and I am very proud of it. And I hope you, over the last few years, have managed to do very well and have enjoyed your racing as well, which is what it's about. Also, I hope that you've started to maybe look at the way you consider your bets and how you come to choosing your horses, maybe with a slightly new angle, given some of the pointers that I refer to regularly in the way I assess the races. So let's move it on then to Saturday, the 7th of January at Sandown Park. Now, the race in question that I'm looking at is the Veterans Chase, the 3-mile Veterans Handicap Chase final at 3 o'clock at Sandown. There are 18 runners, and those of you that have been with me for a while may well recall that 2 years ago we hit the target here with the winner recommended at 20 to 1. So this race has been very good to us in recent years. I'm hoping that my selection this year will hit the target too. Now let's just look at the feature runners here. There are 18 in total. The going is soft, and coming up that Sandown hill, it is of course going to take some getting in the closing stages. And these are all seasoned performers. Many of them we know really well. They're old favourites, and most of them can still go a very good gallop over 3 miles, that's for sure, including Ramses de Tai, who is trained by David Pipe, and he heads most of the lists in the markets that I'm seeing at the moment on the odds comparison sites at around the 5 to 1 mark. And he seemed to go really well last time out, his first run since a breathing operation, when he won at Warwick over 3 miles on soft ground in November. So he's exploited a fairly low handicap mark relative to his previous endeavours. He was quite a high-ranking chaser, and he could still be competitive, but that steadier of 12 stone might just reel him in the closing stages. Now, one interesting runner here, as far as the books are concerned, is Snow Leopardess, a very popular mare that many of you will remember won the Beecher Chase of last season. She went off a very fancied runner for the Grand National, where she was eventually pulled up. But it's interesting to me that both Betfair and Paddy Power, who are more or less the same firm, of course, but have one umbrella company that owns those firms, they're going much shorter than others about Snow Leopardess. So they obviously feel that she is one to be wary of, and they're not interested in taking your money on that one. And she has run quite well, and particularly last time out when she was 8th of 22 in the Beecher Chase, showing that she's on her way back, and she's been dropped £4 for that as well. So Charlie Longston's mare is not without a chance. Now, at Haydock on November the 30th, there was a race that might have some significance on this event at Sandown Saturday. That was the race in which Saint Xavier, trained by Richard Hobson, beat Up Heliar King, trained by Nick Alexander, by 4 lengths over 3¼ miles. And on the revised terms, there's probably not going to be much between the pair once again, and the 2 furlong shorter trip might well help the horse that was the runner-up there at Haydock, Up Heliar King. Now, of the rest, there's a big difference in the prices on the odds comparison sites for Chambard, who's trained by Venetia Williams, who, of course, always does very well at this time of the year when the mud is flying. And this horse did great things last season, winning 3 times. He landed a hat-trick completed by a victory at the Cheltenham Festival in the Fulk Warwing Kimmuir handicap chase over 3¼ miles off a mark of 134 for Lucy Turner, who rides him in all his races and rides him really well. Now, the truth is, he was never going a yard when he was pulled up at Haydock on his reappearance, and he's running off a £6 higher mark than when he was successful at the Cheltenham Festival. So he's going to have improved. And some firms write him off as big as 28 to 1. Some others are far shorter. So it's worth watching the market to see if there is any genuine interest in Chambard. Now, a lively outsider here is a horse called Sir Ivan, trained by Harry Fry, who's actually finished 3rd in this race for the last 2 years. So he clearly goes well at this time of year on soft ground over the 3 miles at Sandown Park. And he's £11 lower than his 3rd place 12 months ago, which on the face of it suggests that he's probably on the downgrade. But he clearly comes to life at Sandown, and you couldn't rule him out, along with others, the likes of Kustar Sivola and old favourite Ballyandy is back for more as well. But my choice here is the horse who won the race 12 months ago. This is Prime Venture, trained by Evan Williams and the mount of Adam Wedge. Now, he won this race in 2022, having been some way behind. He stayed on really powerfully in the very testing ground to win going away. And it's my view that he's been prepared for a repeat attempt on this race. He won it off a mark of 130. He beat Final Nudge by 9 lengths last year. And I've been having a look at the Met Office website, and they're suggesting that Saturday morning there could be a bit of rain about to probably make the ground even more testing, which is going to be very much in Prime Venture's favour. He went on last season after that big win in this race. It's a £100,000 race, remember. He went on to finish 6th on good to soft ground in the Scottish National in April, which was another tremendous effort. And probably he was at the end of his tether for the season when he was pulled up in the Bet365 Gold Cup, won by the excellent Hewick on the very final day of the campaign, which I think is a piece of form you can readily ignore. He's had his summer break, and then he's come back, and a signal really that they've been eyeing this race and getting him right for it is that he's had 2 runs so far, but they've both been over hurdles, which have more or less, in my view, been prep races. Both of them at Fosslas, and both under the trainer's younger daughter, Eleanor Williams, who's fairly unexperienced. But those 2 runs will have got him ready. He actually run very well, maybe a bit too well, on the first of them when he finished 4th. So I think everything points to this horse having been prepared for this race. Now, when I had a look at it yesterday, late afternoon, 8 to 1 was available, and I thought that was a nice, juicy each-way price, but they've been getting stuck in. And also this Friday morning, I'm recording this for you at 11 o'clock Friday morning, the 8 to 1 has gone, the 7 to 1 has gone. Only firm still going 13 to 2 are Sky Bet. They're going 13 to 2 for 6 places each way, while some others are going very much shorter. So I'd suggest that as soon as you get to see this video, you take a view as to whether or not you want to take whatever price is on offer. Of course, it may have drifted back out again, or wait until the day of the race, because there may well be gambles on other things that force the price of Prime Venture out to a more appealing odds. Now, I did look at some at big prices in this race, but to be honest, I do feel that with the exception of Sir Ivan, who's double figures and I think will run well, Prime Venture really does look as though he has a great deal go for him in this race. So I'm sticking with him, and I hope he'll run really well for us. So that's my recommendation to you for this weekend, for Saturday. It's my first tip of the year. There's going to be a whole host of tips, of course, as we go through the year. And of course, once we turn into February, we're already starting to build up towards the Cheltenham Festival, at the start of the Flat and Aintree and the Classic Trials. There's so much going to be happening, and I hope that you'll be along for the ride throughout 2023. Thanks a lot for your company. Fingers crossed that Prime Venture gives us a run for our money. This is Paul Alster signing off for Sportsbet for the first time in the new year. Bye-bye for now.